And there I was the girl from Suits.
This one's wife. What? No hugs? Hello. I'm H.G. Tudor. This one's wife is a hugger. Of her own admission, I have likened her to the face hugger from Alien as a consequence of the way that she attaches to people like a limpet and seeks to assert physical control over them by basically grabbing them. We've seen the way that she unnaturally hugs people, wrapping her arms around them like tendrils, like the tentacles of an octopus. She pulls people into her. She grips them. She interrupted a handshake of Prince Harry's so that she could hug the individual getting in the way. So much of what she did is about, of course, ensuring that attention is brought onto her. She regards herself as a hugger because she thinks that she's kind and warm. In actual fact, because we know that she is a narcissist, her hugging is simply a means of asserting control over people that she meets, an invasion of personal space because of her lack of boundary recognition, a sense of entitlement to treat people in such a manner. It also results in a lack of accountability because she makes people feel uncomfortable, but she doesn't pick up on it. And it enables her to draw fuel from those that comply with the hug. She goes in for it first, you'll notice, that invariably when she wishes to assert control over that person, she goes straight in there for that hug. And it is over the top. It isn't just like having a handshake or just a gentle hug. It's a full-on grip. And this is also naturally part of her facade management to show that she is this lovely person. Whether she's going on a chat show, whether she's meeting people in a crowd, whether she's attending an event, whether she's meeting someone that she vaguely knows, whether she's greeting somebody on her new shitty show, the hugs come out because that's what she's all about. And it's really just a manifestation of her narcissism and the way that she must assert control. As you're aware, she made an appearance as part of her publicity drive for the shitty show on Drew Barrymore's talk show. And this attracted some observations with regard to the interaction between the two of them. Sabrina Picou, writing in page 6, states, Drew Barrymore's relentlessly clingy behaviour made this one's wife uncomfortable on talk show, body language expert claims. This would appear to be something of a role reversal, that somebody else is going in for the hugs and that's making this one's wife feel uncomfortable. Why would that be? Surely she would be lapping up that positive fuel with Drew Barrymore being friendly towards her. Surely she would welcome the opportunity to embrace a fellow hugger to enable her to manage that facade, etc. The relevant body language expert, is Judy James. Now, I invariably give Miss James something of a hard time because she's not au fait with narcissism, and therefore many of her observations in respect of body language are wrong. But it's important to be fair and balanced, and in this instance, she's closer to the truth with what she's stated. This one's wife was not a fan of Drew Barrymore's overly touchy behaviour on the Drew Barrymore show, according to body language expert Judy James. James claimed in the Daily Mail that the Duchess of Sussex was uncomfortable with the TV host's relentlessly clingy nature as she zeroed in on several moments from their interview. First, she analysed a photo of Barrymore and Markle standing and posing together in front of the show's white couch. This is a rare pose from this one's wife, she wrote, who is normally the first one to move in with the hugs to register the warm, spontaneously tactile side that was apparently met with the tsunami of ice water from the royal firm back in the UK, James said. She has clearly met her match in Drew, whose tactile behaviours on her chat show are a signature part of the brand, the expert continued. But it seems, from this pose, that what you get when you put two famously hugging women together is that one will bow out, namely, this one's wife in this case. James described this one's wife's stance in the photo as a straight, polite, more regal-looking pose, while Barrymore wrapped her arms around the suit's alum. This one's wife is perhaps mirroring the kind of response she met with from the UK royals when she was busy hugging them, James said. Well, I don't think that she's actually mirroring the royals in that regard. Her hand is hanging in her pocket rather than reciprocating the display of affection, and she's flashing a wide social smile at the camera rather than tilting her head in a reciprocal gesture. However, Barrymore, 50, clings relentlessly, curling her arms around this one's wife's waist in a partial koala embrace and tilting her head to nestle against this one's wife's locks. The body analyst added that the Charlie's Angels star tactile pose signals a sense of warm friendship and affection, whereas this one's wife appeared more distanced emotionally and keener to communicate with the camera than her host. James went on to dissect a candid photo of this one's wife and Barrymore having a conversation on the couch, claiming the Duchess had both hands up in front of her body, with hands curled into fists in what looks like a subtle barrier ritual. Drew's angle of lean as she sits on her sofa with this one's wife suggests she's poised to move in for some tactile rituals as they chat, the body language expert said. Meanwhile, this one's wife seemed to be using her hands to illustrate or emphasize a point, but the positioning suggests she is not totally open to any touching or hugging at this point. This one's wife did rest her hand on Barrymore's arm at one point as the talk show host dog relaxed between them. Her brows are steepled in a suggestion of wariness, and she has her hand resting on Drew's arm in what looks like a polite but firm restraining gesture, James said of the interaction. Now, given the fact that this one's wife is ordinarily tactile, that she is like an octopus, groping her arms around people, pulling them in and hugging them, why was she so standoffish with Drew Barrymore? Why was she not engaging in the invasive hugging, whereas Barrymore was? Why was she not reciprocating these behaviours? Why was she not leaning towards the host, but was rather staring at the camera? What was behind the behaviours that have been picked up on by Judy James? The starting point is to remember that with this one's wife having no emotional empathy, she has no genuine warmth for anybody. It is manufactured. Accordingly, what you then witness when she is talking to somebody, when she's smiling at them, when she's touching them, when she's hugging them, is a manufactured representation of affection and warmth generated by her narcissism. Alternatively, there is just a void, the absence of emotional empathy, an absence of intimacy. Ordinarily, as part of her assertion of control, this one's wife uses the hug. But if you use the hug towards her, and do so in a particularly demonstrative manner as Drew Barrymore has done so, what that then means is that her need for control is being threatened. She is not the hugger, she has become the huggee. And because her style of narcissism is such that she is not able to deal with this threat to control in a seamless manner, you see her appearing uncomfortable. You see her responding by not hugging Drew Barrymore in the way that she ordinarily would hug somebody if she was able to hug them first. And that is why you see in the picture that Drew Barrymore is the tactile individual that is gripping this one's wife, and this one's wife is stood rather upright, keeping one hand away from her, actually putting it in the pocket of her pants. Ordinarily, this one's wife is able to assert that physical control. First, she gets in with the hug. But where somebody does it to her, it offends her notion of intimacy because she doesn't actually truly understand what intimacy is. She mistakes intimacy within the context of control. Thus, her narcissism processes an overly tactile approach from Drew Barrymore as a threat to control, and this one's wife facade management misfired, so that she wasn't able to replicate the appearance of affection and warmth through a hug, but rather stood looking a little awkward, a little uncomfortable, because of this threat to control that came from Drew Barrymore. Put simply, this one's wife was not in control, and it showed. This also demonstrates, as I've told you before, that when this one's wife goes around hugging people, it isn't genuine or authentic. Many individuals are taken in by it and think that it does represent a warmth and a genuine kindness from her. Believe me, it does not. She is a narcissist, and she is doing that as a means of controlling. She doesn't genuinely exhibit that warmth. She uses her arms like those of the tentacles of an octopus to draw people in, so that she can control them, because control is one of the fundamental aspects of the prime aims, and to manage her facade, but making it look like she is a warm and kind person. You get in first, in effect steal her thunder, steal a march on her, you threaten her need for control, and the result is her inability to generate genuine warmth and intimacy is laid bare. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.